Chapter 2, The Vedic Period. Scholars and historians refer to the period when Aryans first settled in India as the early Vedic period. Between 1000 BC to 500 BC, when iron had come to be used, it is believed that Aryans followed the course of rivers and settled along the valley of Yamuna and Ganga. The iron tools helped them to clear the forests. They moved in the eastward and the southeastward directions. Aryans, so far nomadic in nature, gradually settled in the Gangetic Valley. This period is known as the later Vedic period. The culture of the period is referred to as the Vedic culture because it was based on the Vedic texts. Sources. Literary sources. The Vedic texts may be divided into two broad chronological groups. The early Vedic texts, when most of the hymns of the Rig Veda were composed. The later Vedic texts, to which belong the remaining Vedas and their branches. Two periods correspond to the two phases of Aryan expansion in India. The social, economical, political and religious aspects of the life of the people came to be reflected in the Vedic literature. Thus, Vedas became the storehouse of knowledge. The Vedic literature was written in Sanskrit. The term Veda has been derived from the Sanskrit word Vid, which means knowledge. Vedic literature is divided into two parts, namely the Shruti and Smriti. It is believed that Shruti was revealed to the sages by God and they passed on that knowledge orally from the generation to generation. On the other hand, Smriti literature was composed by the rishis. The Vedic literature can be classified into the following categories. The four Vedas, that is, the Rig, Sama, Yajur and Atharva Ved and their Samhitas. The Brahmanas attached to each Sahita, the Aryan Kanas and the Upanishads. The Vedas, the Rig Ved, in the oldest religious text in the world and is therefore known as the first testament of mankind. It is divided into 10 mandalas. It is said to be have composed during the early Vedic period. The hymns are dedicated to the sages to gods. They were passed on orally from teachers to their disciples. Rig Vedic hymns are the authentic sources of knowledge of the life of people of the time. Much of the Indian philosophy is based on the Rig Veda. It also contains the famous Gayatri Mantra. Although religious in nature, the Vedas are a valuable source of information on various subjects. The Samved. The term Sama means sweet song or the melody. In this Ved, some of the hymns are borrowed from the Rig Veda. The hymns in Samved were meant to be sung at the time of the sacrifice by the priests. The Yajur Ved. It deals with the hymns recited during the performance of yajnas. The hymns in this Veda throw light on the social and religious life of the Aryans. The Atharva Ved. The hymns contained in Ved deal with magic and charms. Most of the hymns are taken from the Rig Ved. Besides this, parts of spirits, the hymns deal with Gyan, Karma and Upanyas. Some hymns also deal with medicines for the treatment of various diseases. The Brahmanas, written after the Vedas as their simple commentary, the Brahmanas are in prose. They explain the social and religious importance of rituals as well as the value of sacrifices. The Brahmanas are of great historical value. Each Veda has several Brahmanas. The Aryanakas. They are known as forest books, written for the guidance of hermits and the students living in forests. They form the concluding part of the Brahmanas. Their main themes are mysticism and philosophy. The Upanishads. They are philosophical commentaries on the Vedas. The doctrines such as Karma, Moksha and Maya are explained in detail. The Upanishads form the basic source of Indian philosophy. Composed by different sages, they are said to form foundation on which the later additions to Vedic literature rest. The most famous of these Upanishads are Mandogaya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. Allied Vedic literature. The Vedangas. They deal with the ways in which the Vedas ought to be chanted and are thus important in understanding of the Vedas. The 6 Vedangas deal with the pronunciation, grammar, etymology, metrics and astronomy. The Sutras, they are divided into 3 groups. The South Sutras, which deal with yajna and sacrifices, the Griya Sutras or Smarata Sutras, which deal with the ceremonies connected with the family life, and the Dharma Sutras, which provide rules of conduct for the various classes of people and various stages in their life. The Upvedas, the name suggests they are subsidiary Vedas. There are 4 in number. Ayurveda deals with Indian system of medicine. The Dhanurved describes the art of warfare. The Gandharva Ved describes the art of music, and Shilpa Ved deals with art and architecture. Darshanas. There are 6 schools of Indian philosophy known as Shad Darshanas. They include Naya Darshana, Vaishika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. They all propagate the virtues of life and are opposed of external rituals. The Dharma Shastra, the law books called Dharma Sutras, are the Smritis together with their commentaries are called Dharma Shastras. They lay down the duties of different classes of people as well as for kings and their officials. Manusmriti gives the description of Hindu code of law including the Varnas and the Ashramas. The Astadhyayi, it is a treatise on the Sanskrit grammar by Panini. Information is given about the roots of the words and the context in which they were used in Vedic literature. The epics. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata are important epics. Ramayana. The Ramayana was originally composed in Sanskrit. The Sanskrit version is said to be the work of Maharishi Valmiki. The story of Ramayana revolves around the Ram and the abduction of his wife Sita by a demon king Ravana. The battle between Ram and Ravana, duty, devotion and love shown by their brothers is told in detail. Rama was the eldest of the 4 sons of Dashratha, the ruler of Ayodhya, who had 3 queens. Ram was the son of the eldest queen Kaushalya and was the heir apparent to the throne. After Rama was married to Sita, he was to be installed as the king. At this juncture, King Dashrath's another queen, Kaikeyi, reminded him of the promise he had made earlier to grant her a wish. Kaikeyi wanted her son Bharat to be the king and Rama to be sent in exile for 14 years. Rama, along with his wife Sita and brother Lakshmana, went to the forest. In disguise of sannyasi, Ravana, the demon king, abducted Sita and took her to Lanka. Rama took help of Sugriv and Hanuman. They crossed the ocean and defeated Ravana. Rama then, along with Sita and Lakshman, proceeded home. Having completed the 14 years exile, he was crowned the king. Mahabharata, believed to be the work of sage Vyasa, Mahabharata is written in Sanskrit language. Originally, it was called Jaya, or the collection dealing with victory. Subsequently, it came to be known as Bharata because it contains the stories of descendants of one of the earliest Vedic tribes called Bharata. The final completion came to be known as Mahabharata. The Bhagavad Gita, which forms a part of the Mahabharata, is one of the most popular religious texts considered sacred by many people in India. The interests of the self might conflict with the duty, and whenever there is such a conflict, the Bhagavad Gita gives the answer. That is the secret of the undying popularity of religious text. It teaches that soul is immortal. The importance of the epics. The epics serve as the main source of the information on the political institutions and the social and cultural organization of the epic age. They provide information on various Aryan kingdoms, their armies and weapons they used. The Kshatriyas were entrusted with the defense of their kingdoms, and they believed that death on the battlefield was the noblest act in the life of a warrior. The epics are considered as the finest literary works of the ancient period and are acclaimed for their literary and philosophical value. They reveal the high ideals of family life of the Aryans. The great heroes depicted in the epics are the embodiment of high moral principles and made a great impact on successive generations. The Bhagavad Gita elaborates the karma philosophy and immortality of the soul. Mahabharata, the king of Hastinapur, Dhritarashtra, had 100 sons known as Kauravas. Dhritarashtra's brother Pandu, who had died earlier, had 5 sons known as Pandavas. In course of time, Dhritarashtra named the eldest Pandava, Yudhishthir, his successor. This angered Duryodhana, the eldest of the Kauravas. It became a cause of enmity and jealousy between the cousins. Once during the game of dice, Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandava, lost his kingdom as well as Draupadi to Duryodhana. In accordance with the terms of agreement, the Pandavas had to go into exile. After the completion of exile, the Pandavas asked the Kauravas to return their kingdom, but Duryodhana refused to give anything, so the war, known as Mahabharata, followed. Arjuna, a Pandava, was reluctant to fight. Krishna ultimately gave him a discourse and prevailed upon him to do his duty. This discourse at the battlefield is compiled into the form of Bhagavad Gita. It forms a part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata war lasted for 18 days. In the war, all the Kaurava brothers were killed and Yudhishthira became the ruler of Hastinapur. Archaeological sources. The available archaeological sources of the period include iron implements and tools and remains of pottery. Iron artifacts. The discovery of iron marks an important stage in the march of civilization in the world. In India, the Iron Age began in 1000 BC. The village farming communities gradually dispersed in large parts of India from the Gangetic Plains to the peninsular south. Iron was a harder metal than copper and bronze. It was cheap and available in plenty. Iron deposits were found over large area. It was used in the following areas: agriculture. Discovery of iron gave the Aryanas new implement like axes to clear the forest and cultivate the land. Thus, agriculture became their important occupation. With the use of iron plough heads, sickles and hoes, they could bring vast tracts of land under cultivation. The production of more rice, wheat, barley and vegetables and fruits improved their standard of living. Occupation. The use of iron gave rise to new trades by providing durable implements like saws, chisels, hammers, nails and tongs. This gave rise to occupations such as weaving, spinning, carpentry, tanning and tool making. Defense. Because of its durability and easy availability, iron was extensively used in making weapons like swords, armors and shields. Pottery. Pottery forms an important source of information. The greyware and the painted greyware pottery discovered at different sites in Punjab and Haryana is believed to belong to the Rig Vedic Aryans. The important sites included Bhagwanpur, Daheri, Katpalan and Nagar. These cultures are regarded as Rig Vedic because they belong to the same period and same region as mentioned in the Rig Veda. However, in the Ganga Yamuna Doab, the earliest iron objects are generally associated with PGW, where a number of sites associated with prolific use of iron have been discovered. The PGW cultures correspond to the later Vedic period. The PGW is a very fine, smooth and even colored pottery. It was made out of well-worked, high-quality clay with geometric patterns painted it into black. Floral patterns and sun symbols are seen in some cases. The pottery includes open-mouthed bowls and dishes. Origin of the Aryanas. The origin of the Aryanas as well as the background of the people who settled in India is full of controversies. Some historians believe that Aryanas were the natives of India. Others like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, after the study of Rig Veda and Zenith Avesta, concluded that the original home of Aryans was the Arctic region. A.C. Das, a historian, tried to prove that origin of home of Aryanas was India. According to him, they lived in Sub-Sindhu and migrated to other parts of India. Swami Dayanand Saraswati believed that Tibet was the home of Aryans. Professor Max Muller, a German scholar, believed that the Aryans came to India from Central Asia. He gave two reasons in support of this theory. The first wave of migration from the steppes, Central Asia, had started around 1500 BC. The Aryans bore strong resemblance to bands of warlike people of Central Asia. The Central Asian theory holds the origin of Romans, Celts, Indians, Greeks and Persians from the same stock. Many historians agree with the Central Asian theory of Max Muller. Their reason for accepting the theory are: in ancient times, the land in Asia Minor was fertile, which made it suitable for agriculture and domestication of animals. The stone inscription discovered in Asia Minor proved that Aryan gods like Indra and Varuna were worshipped in ancient times. The flora and fauna and objects referred to the Rig Vedic were found in Asia Minor. Asia Minor is equidistant from Europe and India. Biologists noticed that the genetic traits of the steppe people of Central Asia and found similar traits in 35% of the people in North India. Thus, they concluded that the Indo-Aryans migrated from Central Asia to India. However, the issue of origin of the Aryans is still being disputed. The painted grey ware phase was followed by the northern black polished ware phase, the beginning of which goes back to 700 BC. This pottery was glossy and shiny. It is believed that the use of this pottery was made by the people who dominated the economic and social life of the period. Early settlements. On the basis of the names of the rivers and mountains mentioned in the Rig Veda, it is believed that the Aryans entered India from Afghanistan and settled in the valleys of Kabul River at Punjab. They call this northwestern part of India Sapt Sindhu, or land of seven rivers, namely Sindhu, Ravi, Beas, Satluj, Jhelum, Chenab and Saraswati. This region covers the present areas of eastern Afghanistan, Punjab and parts of western Uttar Pradesh. Later this region was named Brahmavarta, or land of gods, because of the composition of Rig Veda took place here on the banks of river Saraswati, which they considered almost scarred. The region provided conditions for stable agriculture. The act of moving from place to place with herds of animals ceased to have the preeminence it had enjoyed in early days. This fact too was responsible for the evolution of a new culture. Society, social organization. In the Rig Vedic time or early Vedic period, the Aryans lived in villages. The family was the fundamental unit of the society. It was patriarchal. This means that the oldest male member of the family was its head. He was called the Grihapati or Kulapati. After the death of Grihapati, the responsibility shifted to his eldest son. Several families lived in a grama or village. Several villages formed a Visha. Many Vishas formed a Jana. The head of village was called Gramini. That of Visha, Vishapati. Rajana or king was the head of Jana. The kings governed with help of ministers. The important officers included the Gramini, the Purohita and the Senani. The Senani was the commander of army and Purohita performed religious ceremonies. The administration of the villages was carried out by the Gramini. The king did not maintain any regular army. However, in times of war, he used to organize tribal groups to perform military functions. During the Rig Vedic time, the tribe elected a leader of its own. He was not as powerful as one in the later Vedic period. In the Rig Vedic period, the three popular assemblies known as the Sabha, the Samiti and the Vidhata advised the king. The Vidhata was the earliest assembly which used to perform all kinds of functions, economic, military, religious and social. Women actively participated in the deliberations in the Vidhata. The Samiti was the assembly of people and Sabha was the council of elders. The Sabha performed advisory and judicial functions. The Samiti was called the session on special occasion. In the later Vedic period, kingship became hereditary and divine elements came to be associated with the king. This period marked the beginning of taxation system and administrative machinery. During the later Vedic age, the popular assemblies lost their earlier importance. The Sabha and Samiti came to be dominated by chiefs and rich nobles. Women were no longer permitted to attend these assemblies. Position of women. During the Rig Vedic period, women were respected. The institution of marriage had become scarred. The daughters were given freedom to choose their husbands. The system of remarriage of widows was prevalent. There are no examples of child marriage. The marriageable age in the Rig Veda seems to have been 16 to 17. In the later Vedic period, there was significant decline in the status of women. Their participation in yajnas was not considered necessary. They did not enjoy the right to property. The freedom to choose husbands by women was curtailed. Class divisions. Through the caste system is not mentioned in the Rig Veda, but the fact remains that there was some kind of class division in the society. The early Aryans, called the local inhabitants Dashyus, did not mix with them. It is said that during this period the tribal chiefs and the priests acquired a large share of booty and grew the cost of their kinsmen. This resulted in social inequalities and the tribal society got divided into three groups: warriors, priests, and the people. The fourth division, called the Shudras, appeared towards the end of the Rig Vedic period. Because the word Shudra is mentioned for the first time in the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda, which is usually considered a later addition. However, since the economy was mainly pastoral and not food producing, there was no scope of collecting regular tributes or taxes from the people. In the early Vedic period, the society was divided into different classes based on their professions. A person could adopt any profession of his choice, as is evident from an excerpt of the Rig Veda. I am a poet, my father is a physician, and my mother grinds corn on stone. Being of the same family, we are engaged in different professions. The people followed different professions which became hereditary in course of time. This resulted in the division of society into occupational classes. Gradually, this took the form of caste and the present caste system emerged. In the later Vedic period, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras became four distinct castes or varnas. The Brahmins or the priests performed religious rituals. The Kshatriyas participated in the wars. The Vaishyas engaged in business and looked after agriculture as well as industry. The Shudras served the upper classes. As stated earlier, during the later Vedic age, the caste system became rigid. The Brahmins and Kshatriyas enjoyed many privileges. The priests came to be considered as gods on the earth, and the Kshatriyas also increased their power and came to be regarded as the ruling class. All the three higher varnas were entitled to Upnayana or investiture. With the scarred thread according to the Vedic mantras, intercaste marriage was not prevalent. The four ashramas. In the early Vedic period, man grew up according to the family traditions. However, in the later Vedic period, the whole lifespan of an Aryan came to be divided into four periods. The four stages of life are known as four ashramas, each of 25 years duration. The four ashramas are Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. The Brahmacharya ashram lasted up to the age of 25 years. During this period, the pupil was expected to acquire knowledge in the Gurukul and observe strict discipline. During the period of Grihastha ashrama, the man was supposed to marry and raise a family. As a householder, he was to take responsibility of maintaining his family. This period lasted from the age of 25 to 50 years. The third stage was Vanaprastha ashram. It lasted from the age of 50 to 75 years. During this period, man was expected to retire from worldly life and acquire spiritual and philosophical knowledge. The last stage, lasting from the age of 75 to 100 years, was the Sannyas ashram. This was the period of renunciation. The man had to leave everything forever and go into meditation in order to attain moksha or salvation. Education was imparted through private gurukuls. The residence of the guru, called the gurukul, meaning the family of the guru, had become the most scarred institution. The gurukuls were often located in the outskirts of the city and even in forests. The students lived there. The guru treated his students like his own children. The student was required to do household chores for his teacher. He had to get up early in the morning, take a bath and chant the Vedic mantras. Most of the teaching was done orally. At the completion of education, a student used to give Guru Dakshina, a gift to his teacher. The Gurus were greatly respected and revered. The main object of education was to bring about physical, mental and spiritual development of the pupils. The subject of study include the Vedas, Purans, grammar, mathematics, ethics, logic and military science. Two women teachers, namely Maitri and Gargi, were considered gifted and greatly respected. Food, dress and amusements. The main cereal produced by Rig Vedic people was barley. Wheat and rice were not known to them. However, in the later Vedic times, there is evidence of using rice. Cows were domesticated and milk products like curd, butter, ghee, etc. were used. Soma, a kind of intoxicating drink, was consumed during festivals and religious ceremonies. The clothes worn were simple. They consisted of an undergarment called nivi or dhoti, an upper piece called vasa or shirt, an overgarment known as adivasa, a loose piece of cloth. Men wore turbans. There were customs of wearing animal skins. Some of the sadhus wore deer skin known as mrigchal. Men kept long hair. Ornaments were worn both by men and women. The ornaments were made of gold, silver, ivory and precious stones. Some of the common items of the jewelry were earrings, rings, anklets, bracelets, necklace, etc. The main means of amusement in both the Vedic periods were chariot races, horse races, dancing, singing, and hunting. The chief musical instruments were the drum, flute, mridang, and lute. People participated in competitive sports, festivals, and gambling. Religious beliefs. The people in the Vedic age worshipped forces of nature. They personified these natural forces and looked upon them as living beings to whom they gave human or animal attributes. A large number of gods are mentioned in the Rig Veda. The most important among these gods was Indra, to whom 250 hymns are devoted in the Rig Veda. He is also known as the Purandra and Jitendra. He is considered as the rain god who is responsible for bringing rainfall. The second position is held by Agni, the fire god. He is regarded as an intermediary between gods and men, for he consumes the sacrificial offerings and carries them to the gods in form of smoke. The third position is occupied by Varuna, the god of waters, clouds, ocean and rivers. He determines the path of all stars in heaven. Varuna is regarded as the upholder of natural or cosmic order. There were many other Vedic gods like Vayu, Surya and Yama, Rudra, etc. Some goddesses were also worshipped. The most important female goddess was Usha, the goddess of dawn. Other important female deities were Prithvi, a personification of earth, Aditi, the great mother of gods, Ratri, the spirit of night, Aryani, the lady of forest, Dishvana, the goddess of vegetation. However, in the later Vedic age, Prajapati, the creator of Brahma, became the supreme god, and Indra and Agni lost their former significance. Vishnu came to be regarded as the preserver and protector of the people, and Shiva as destroyer of the universe. Sacrifices and rituals. With religious evolution, simplicity of nature worship was lost. Rituals and sacrifices became a daily routine. Besides the yajnas performed by kings, the common people performed small yajnas during which milk, ghee, grains and fruits were offered to the deities. The rich people and businessmen conducted bigger sacrifices. During such yajnas, purohits received gold, expensive clothes and large number of cows as gift. During such yajnas, purohits received gold, expensive clothes and large number of cows as gifts. Giving dakshina was also a ritual and a pious duty. Ritualism had gained strong roots, and even a small deviation while performing certain worship was considered a sin. New doctrines. The Brahmins were responsible for bringing about many innovations and evolving new doctrines. More emphasis was laid on penance called tapasya, which became a ritualistic economy. The Rig Vedic economy was primarily pastoral. For Aryans, cattle was synonymous with wealth, and wealthy person was called Gomat. Gopa and Gopati were epithets given to the king. In the Rig Veda, Gohuli is used as a term for a measure of time. Distance is called Gavyuti, and a daughter is called Duhtir, or one who milks the cows. Compared to the linguistic evidence of the cattle rearing in the Rig Veda, agricultural activities find very few references. Apart from yava or barley, no other grains are mentioned. There are references to fire being used for burning the forest cover and practice of shifting cultivation. Further, the area received low rainfall, and major rivers mentioned in the Rig Veda were known to change their courses frequently. In these conditions, the alluvial lands near the rivers could not be cultivated on a permanent basis. Major changes in the economy took place during the later Vedic phase. The importance of agriculture grew during this phase. The growth of agriculture in the later Vedic period was made possible by the availability of vast tracts of fertile alluvial lands of the Ganga-Yamuna Doab and the Middle Ganga Valley. Both archaeological and literary sources depict the introduction of rice as the staple diet of the people. The Vedic texts mentioned Viri, Tandula and Sali, denoting rice. The new doctrines included the doctrine of karma, dharma and moksha. The belief in rebirth regained roots. Consequently, all these innovations strengthened the position of Brahmins. The Brahmins were said to have divine powers. No ritual or religious celebration would commence without the presence of the Brahmins. The later Vedic texts also referred to the oxen yoked to the plough, suggesting the prevalence of plough cultivation. Towards the end of this period, iron plowshares and metal tools were used and a variety of crops were cultivated. The craftsmen mentioned in the Vedic text include leatherworks, wheelwrights and blacksmiths, potters and carpenters. However, none of these groups were considered as low of status. Weaving seems to have been a domestic craft. Wool, obtained from sheep, was most common raw material. Cotton is not mentioned. Trade. During the later Vedic phase, agriculture surplus led to trade, giving rise to markets from which developed towns and cities. Thus, trade became the pivot around which the whole town and city life moved. Although the Aryans had introduced coins, barter system was still dominant in trade with other countries. Occupations. Besides agriculture and trade, other important occupations included domestication of animals, crafts in various metals, carpentry, pottery, fishery, etc. Women were engaged in spinning, weaving, knitting, and dyeing.